Welcome to Driven by Janelle, the podcast where passion meets power and women take the lead on two wheels. What drives you to ride?
So you guys, we are here today at Jet City Harley. Shout out to Jet City Harley for allowing us to film this podcast in their studio. And we're here with Chuck Swesey. I'm just going to read a little bit about Chuck, and I'd love to jump into some questions. So we're kicking things off with you, and you've had just you seem like you've been like a lifelong motorcyclist. Chuck is someone who's had a lifelong connection to two wheels, from riding mini bikes in the 60s to shaping motorcycle safety programs across Washington. Chuck's journey is one of passion, purpose, and mentorship. As a certified instructor for both 2- and 3-wheel riders, he's helped train and inspire countless motorcyclists over the years. So let's dive into the road that's led him here. So you started riding motorcycles in the 60s.
As a small kid, I mean, as a growing up kid back in the 60s, our play toys were more dangerous than they are these days.
Yeah.
And everybody was cobbling together little mini bikes. They'd take, lawnmower engines apart and put them on these little frames and fire them up and little tiny seats. And we would ride those up and down the hills and around Seattle. And I learned a whole bunch about motorcycling back then. Primarily that a sudden stop can leave you spinning, because what we used to do is we'd have one mini bike and a bunch of skateboards and stuff. And we'd ride down the hills in Seattle.
Which is just dangerous. I feel like you've been walking up and down the hills.
Yeah. And then the guy in the mini bike would pull us back up. And we'd have a rope with a knot on the end of it. And he'd pull us back up, and we'd let go, and he'd spin around, and the knot sometimes would come around and catch underneath the car tire. That's when I learned about stopping.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's part of my lessons. Don't do that.
I mean, the Seattle hills scare me even in like a car, honestly. But on a mini bike.
Well, I grew up a lot of my life. I traveled around a lot as a kid. My dad was in the military and stuff. Mm-hmm. But a lot of my life was growing up in the Seattle area, around the University Village area, mm-hmm. U District, mm-hmm. and there's nothing but hills out there. There's nothing but hills. So you had to learn how to, as a kid on a bicycle, you learned all that sort of stuff intuitively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you did it young enough. You got the rhythm, you got the cadence.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. At the right time.
It was the right time, and back then, I still believe Seattle is a predominantly safe city. But back when I was a kid, it was come home when the lights come on. And
that sounds good.
Summertime we were out from 10 o'clock at night frequently. As a kid in the third grade, I'd take the bus over to Lake Washington. Spend the day. It was a great time, and we learned a lot. Had a good time.
So was it riding the mini bikes up and down the hills that got you like hooked on motorcycling, or what really?
Not really. I had no concept. I grew up in a disadvantaged home, mm-hmm. and my mom was a single mother, and a succession of poor relationships and poor environment, and those sorts of luxuries weren't going to be afforded to me, mm-hmm. And I. Finally, about 17 years old, I escaped and got into the service. Mm. And once I was in the service, that's when I bought my first real motorcycle. Mm-hmm. My first real motorcycle. It was 1977. It's Kawasaki KZ5 out there.
Oh, you remember exactly.
Oh gosh, I remember that bike. Then I had a KZ900. Then the first super bike came out, the KZ1000. I had one of those. And, from then, it just has continued to progress.
Yeah. So what made you did you get your bike at 17, or like when you were leaving the service?
No, when I joined the service at 17 years old, and I had a motorcycle when I was 18.
And so what made you think, like, I'm going to go get a motorcycle?
Freedom on two wheels. There is, motorcycling is like nothing else in the world. Mm-hmm. For me today, and back then I couldn't articulate it. But for me today, it opens up a piece of my inner self that gets closed down frequently in daily life. With other commitments and things going on out here in daily life, people calling and the phone and the texting and the emails and situations. When I'm on a motorcycle, you have to be in the here and now. You're 12, 15, 18 seconds ahead of you, 8, 10 seconds behind you, 4, 5, 6 seconds on either side of you. That's your world. That's your building. That's where you have to manage all that stuff. So you bring all that concentration in, and you can tend to let it go.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you work on not letting those outside influences affect you.
Yeah.
So being having the freedom and just the peace of being in the here and now was very heady to a young man.
Especially because you described it as escaping. So escaping at 17, and then you get your freedom on your motorcycle at 18. So that had to be a huge change, a huge shift.
From the time I left home to the time those few years was a time of immense growth for a young man. And fortunately, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I say fortunately because I've been able to learn from those things and start from a better spot on my next endeavor. Make a mistake, you're better educated for the next one, right? It was a good time, and it was good for me to get into motorcycles at that point in time. Like I said, it offered me a freedom. I was down in Arizona, the Phoenix, Arizona area at that point in time when I got my first motorcycle. And riding down there is nothing like riding up here. It's wide open vistas, dry roads. And here,
not a sun.
And here it's not sometimes.
Yeah, it's really windy.
Can be.
Yeah. Which, do you have a preference for straight vistas or windy Seattle roads?
My favorite place to ride, and I end up down there frequently, generally once or twice a year, is the Desert Southwest area. And I'm talking about Utah, northern Arizona, New Mexico, Wyoming. That area out there there's some amazing roads. There's some amazing roads. And the vistas are marvelous. I mean, the flora and fauna we have in the Northwest is true to my soul. I've got moss between my toes, maybe. It's true to my soul. But down there, the desert vistas, I fell in love with them when I was a young man in Arizona in the service. And to go back, it's warm and it dries you out, and you can see a lot farther. If I'm riding along a tabletop flat piece of desert highway that's nothing but red dirt with a black windy piece of asphalt, and I can see for 4 or 5 miles ahead of me and behind me. There's just those feelings of being able to carve into through the canyons and on those roads are just, it's marvelous. I love that stuff. And then, you get bored. If you have a bike like mine today, the one I'm riding today, you just get bored, you slow down, you turn to the right, and you go off road. And then you go and find the real fun stuff.
Yeah. You do a lot of different types of motorcycling. It seems like you've done almost every kind of motorcycling.
I'm old.
Well,
I'm old, and I've had a lot of experience, and I've tried a whole bunch of things and taken a whole bunch of lessons and continue to learn and continue to push that envelope. And I have done a lot of things. I have tried a lot of motorcycles. I've had a lot of motorcycles. But it really didn't kick off the passion that it is today until I was a little older. When I was raising my kids, that was primarily their mom moved. They wanted to be mom, and so I had them, a boy and a girl. And we spent more time when they were growing up focusing on mountain sports. Because I could take them. I was a ski instructor, snowboard instructor for about 25 years part-time.
Oh, wow. So you've been an instructor for
I
a lot of your life.
I love teaching.
Yeah.
But I'd take my kids to the mountains every Friday night. We'd come home on Sunday, and it was a great place for them to be there in the wintertime. Education, adult education. I worked for the phone company, Ma Bell, Pacific Northwest Bell, US West Go West, and now it's Lume, I believe. For about 30 years when I got out of the service. And that afforded me the opportunity to do different things. And one of the things I did for the phone company, I was a training manager, and I wrote courses and I taught mostly all the outside skills, from climbing telephone poles to digging up the street to find your broken cable and fixing that stuff. And I love training because it's empowering. I love finding folks that are nervous about what they're going to do, and they're undereducated about what's happening and how it works. And I love taking them and helping them discover the education behind that, and helping them to gain their power on whatever it is, whether it's 2 wheels, 3 wheels, a ski slope, a telephone pole, a kid working in my yard. I love helping folks become more successful versions of themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, for me, I'm all about empowerment, just my own background. But why do you like empowerment? Like, what is it in your life where you really feel like empowering others is really important to you?
Oh, see, now I got to get all into the psychology of stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
I know where it comes from, because not everyone feels that way. Not everyone's a good. You're a great teacher. I had a lesson with you. You're an amazing teacher.
Thank you.
But not everyone can really want to have someone be empowered.
The instructors I like to work with and the instructors I mentor, the most important thing is the student. And for their success, we have to allow them to do these things. I can't do it for you. I made that very clear. It has to be, your ride, and you're responsible all the time for safety. But if I show you the way to go and help you develop those tools, then once you develop them and start utilizing them, that's that empowerment. And I love seeing the light come on in someone's eyes.
Yeah.
I was a kid that, I thought I was going to be some famous ski racer, but that got beat out of me as a child. And then I thought I was going to be a Broadway dancer, and then that got beat out of me as a child. So, the things along the way in our lives, my personal childhood helped me eventually, after a period of tumultuous youth, helped me become a man that doing unto for others is more important to me.
That's amazing.
And I would gladly lay down my life for my fellow man, because we transition through life. And as a young man, when I had some challenges and some struggles, I did some wrong things. And I hurt some people. And, there's no getting back that. There's no getting back that. All you can do is change. And so my big thing is, as opposed to hurting somebody, I want to help somebody all the time. I like to talk about leading with love. I lead with love first. I truly believe that all of us, all beings, are interrelated. If you go back to my deepest roots, when I go back to do all the DNA stuff, my deepest roots end up in South Africa, where pretty much everybody's deepest roots end up. And if I can help my brothers and my sisters, my aunts and my uncles, my moms out there, I feel like it's been a successful day.
Yeah.
Right?
You've helped mankind.
Well, it's the motorcycle thing is really important because it is so treacherous.
Yeah.
It's life ending in a fleeting second. And so and I've been on the sides of victim notifications and being notified.
Mm.
And that's, I never want that to happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
And it hurts my heart when I see somebody who has died in a motorcycle accident, because statistically, the probability that they could have either done something differently to avoid that is high.
Mm-hmm.
And I want that statistic so low. I want them to be able to do everything they can to be able to avoid that, so no one else gets that knock on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's just no fun.
Yeah. It's a dangerous sport.
It certainly can be. It certainly can be. What we know about motorcycling is that it's more dangerous than active combat. Back when there was a different Secretary of State, they did a study, and what they did is they looked at all the soldiers, airmen, Navy, all those guys, all of our troops who died in combat. And then what they did is they took that same time period and they came back and looked at all the soldiers, airmen, service members who died on motorcycles during the same time, and it's much higher than active combat. Because in active combat, we train, and then we train, and we train, and then we train. For motorcyclists, we've decided that if you have some money in your pocket, you can go buy one.
Yeah, this machine.
And these things are powerful machines, especially the newer ones we have today. They're not built like the old ones. When I was a kid, the amount of horsepower and torque and my suspension is nothing compared to the machines we have today. And a lot of folks get themselves in trouble because they come back to this sport because they did it in college for a little bit. Heck, I rode a mini bike when I was a kid. And it should be not a big deal. And next thing you know, you're on this 800-pound Harley or 900-pound big adventure bike, or even a 300-pound little bike that's going to go faster than you imagine. And so if we work towards keeping them safe and getting them educated, that's what we do.
The training. Yeah. So you had quite a long journey to becoming the instructor that you have, or at least a really dedicated journey. I mean,
when I got out of the service, very first place I applied for a job hired me.
Okay.
It was a phone company. I went up to mid-level management, training manager and stuff, and then I left management with a disagreement with the vice president. I went back into the craft field, and I arose to vice president of the union. And then my mom died at 62 and my dad at 57. And so my timeline was not looking great. And so I left the very first moment I could from the phone company with a pension. And that was 2 days before I turned 51.
Congratulations.
And I knew I was going to leave just a little bit later than that because they offered me a little bit of a package. And I had started taking motorcycle classes and started riding again. And I got invited to come into the motorcycle safety world, and I started doing that part-time while I was still working. And then as soon as I walked out the door from the company, I took off my wristwatch. I haven't really put it on except for going out to dinner or something, and I started dedicating myself to the motorcycle industry. And I've been doing that for about 18 years now. And
another career.
It's been a whole nother career. No, I have several friends from back when I was with the phone company, and everybody back then knew me as Chuck the phone guy, and no one knows me as Chuck the phone guy. They know me as Chuck the motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying that more. The evolution from a young instructor to a more seasoned instructor that I am today has been a long journey, and it's taken a lot of help.
Who did you learn? Who did you learn from?
I can fail all by myself.
Okay.
To succeed, I need help.
Yeah.
Some of my great mentors. I got to tell you, this guy by the name of David Wendell.
Okay.
David Wendell was the Well, he's been involved in motorcycle safety for a long time. He literally wrote the book for the three-wheel curriculum in motorcycle safety and the three-wheel test. And Dave took me under his wing as a young instructor. I had started working for a couple other folks, and Dave took me under his wing and taught me patience, for one thing. Taught me patience. Brad Malakoff was one of our chiefs in the state, and Brad Malakoff taught me to explore different options. One of Brad's sayings was, well, that's a way, not the way. There's lots of ways to do things, and as an instructor, you have to figure out what works with other people. And so Brad was instrumental to me. My buddy Lee Caslander, he was about 10 years older than I am, and he taught me a lot about growing with grace at my age in the motorcycle industry. And buddy mine, Steve Stewart, one of my chiefs, Steve and I worked together for a long time, and he taught me that I needed to figure it out. You know, sometimes as a professional, you have to just figure out what's going on. And Steve was great at helping me understanding that I could do that. I just needed to pay attention.
Yeah.
And go back to the manuals, right? The policies and procedures.
Yeah.
Everything's laid out and clear, and there's a path forward, and you know, I was in Monroe yesterday, and the spots on the pavement for my test were kind of obscure, but you know, I just pulled out my manual and looked up the data, and was successful at it. And Steve taught me to be able to do that.
That is empowerment.
Yeah. All those guys. Bruce Thomas was another one, and all those guys were empowering to me, and had a lot to do with my journey. And some of it, the empowerment was tough love. You know, I come from a generation where tough love is a lot more accepted than some of the other generations, and these guys were. They were all, you know, big in the motorcycle industry. Yeah. And so those are my mentors who really helped to guide me in that early development. And then for the past probably 16 years, I've been doing this. I talk about part-time, but it's not. I've been teaching probably between 800 and 1,000 students a year.
Wow, that's so many.
That's a lot of folks.
Well, I don't know how many riders are on the road, but
there's a lot of folks. Well, you were here last week or a couple weeks ago when I was here, and there was people everywhere. Everybody seemed to. I seem to have touched a lot of people's lives in the building. Yeah. And no one came up and punched me. That was nice.
Well, that's good. That's always a win.
It's always a win. It's always a win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, helping getting safer riders on the road, safer for themselves, right? That's amazing. So I don't think anyone's going to punch you for that.
No. Sometimes, sometimes I have a couple. And one will come to the class and the other one won't. And then the one goes back to the other one and says, well, Chuck said this and Chuck said that. And so sometimes that gets a little back to me. Yeah. Only in a good natured way. Yeah. Only in a good natured. What I found out is folks riding motorcycles by far and away are some of the best people out there. Some of the best folks. They care the most about some of the other folks. If you're on a motorcycle, you're broken down the side of the road, people will stop. And these are motorcyclists in their cars and trucks because you're out there alone. It's a kinship.
Yeah. It's definitely a strong community, which is something I love about it a lot.
You know, we have some divisions in the community. The sport bike guys, as opposed to the cruiser guys, as opposed to the scooter guys, gals, folks. sometimes there's a little bit of division, only until something goes bad. And then everybody rallies. You know, a group of Harley riders riding down the road and sees a scooter guy crash, they're all going to stop. You know, and that's the knowing of how fleeting life can be on two wheels. Right?
Yeah, that's so true. If you don't mind, I'd really I had a lesson with you last week, and you were telling me all about my bike, which I really appreciated. But you were telling me how I don't know if they were broken, because I have a Royal Enfield and a Harley. I'm still in my Royal Enfield, but you've broken it to figure out how to, to provide data back to them. So I'm really interested just in that whole process. I was telling my family, I was so I work with an instructor that broke bikes, and they're like, broke bikes? I'm like, yes. So I'm really interested in just knowing, one, how do you sign up for that? And well, how do you get into that?
Well, what happened is Royal Enfield, the motorcycle safety programs around the nation are largely supported by the dealerships and the brands. And at one point in time, we had a relationship with Royal Enfield, and they sent us a bunch of the bikes. And we specifically picked out one bike. It was a 500cc motorcycle. And we got that from those guys because it was a heavier motorcycle, had heavier shocks, and we could accommodate some of our larger riders. And we kept breaking pieces out of the inside. The shifter knob would just break and spin around, and we would call Royal Enfield, and they sent some folks out and took a look at them, and they went back and they re-engineered the parts. And
just for you guys?
Was that?
Just for you guys?
No, for because, the training bikes, they get beat up, the amount of pressure you're going to put on your shift lever is nothing to compare to what you're stomping on when you're a new rider trying to get the stuff to work. So some of the parts in there we broke through just abuse. But Royal Enfield said, if they're breaking from that little bit of abuse, there's a problem. The metallurgy was not up to where they needed to be, so they put new metal parts in there as opposed to pop parts. And so they redesigned a lot of that stuff, and they listened to the instructors and the companies out here to get that information. They responded well. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited about Royal Enfield. I'm excited about all the bikes, and I'm super excited when I see a manufacturer listening to the community and making changes in a positive direction. So that's one of the reasons I like those guys.
Okay. I was like, how do you sign up to go and
break?
Break bikes? Is this crash
No, it's not like a crash test dummies. I know I got the hat on like one of those guys, but it's not the crash test dummies. It's novice riders and people learning how to ride a motorcycle are not gentle with them. You've heard the saying, smooth is fast, fast is smooth. On a motorcycle, I want to have very smooth maneuvers because I don't want anything to bounce or jump. So I want very smooth maneuvers. And as a novice motorcycle, we don't understand that. You haven't been trying to shift with your toe forever. So now what you're doing is you're not trying, you're stomping on the thing. And things get broken. And so that's what happens in motorcycle training, and that's why it's good to take a class where a company provides the equipment. It's better to take a class using your own equipment. If I get you all competent on one style bike, and then you go home and get on your bike, which is a different style, some of the techniques and pressures aren't gonna be as smooth on this bike as it is on this bike. So you're gonna struggle. But if I can bring you into the fold, and we're gonna get you into another class with WMST, and if I can get you into that fold on your own bike, it is so much more impactful to you. You're more empowered because this is your own thing, not something you're borrowing. What would mine be like? How would it work on mine? This is what you have, and sharpen the tool you're going to use, I say.
No, I agree. And you can just learn everything, absorb it, and then can kind of compare it to what you used versus I feel like if you get on a different bike, you're kind of starting from scratch sometimes. So
You are. I mean, well, you're not really starting from scratch, but you're not starting from. If I start on the same bike all the time, every time I get on, I'm going to be more adapt to that bike. It's going to be more comfortable.
Yeah, I'll know if it's me or the bike. I'd be like, man, this bike did this yesterday. It's not doing it today.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the bike. I'm not sure it's the bike. Sorry.
Yeah, then I'll know. Then it'll be me. So yeah. So right now you have, which bikes do you have right now?
Right now, the bike I rode down here today is my favorite bike. It's a 2018 BMW GS Adventure. It's a 900 pound dual sport bike that does everything very, very well.
Yeah.
I think 4 years ago, one of the motorcycle magazines did a story about sport touring bikes, the big sport touring bikes, the Harley Electric Glides, the big baggers, the Honda Goldwings, some of the victories. And they sent out 8 motojournalists. And this is a great job. I know some of these guys are great. And what they do is they go out for like a week and they just ride motorcycles. And then they swap motorcycles and ride. Everybody rides all the different motorcycles. They all had all the different motorcycles. They write notes about it and they compare notes at the end of the day. And the bike that wasn't in the study, the bike that they used to carry all the equipment, the workhorse, is the BMW 1200 GS Adventure.
Isn't that crazy?
And that bike, all of them liked the best for the best sport touring. And so it's a high tall bike, and it does everything very, very well as long as you're confident on it. And the weight is an issue until you get that balance things. I've got a Triumph Bonneville. It's kind of my distinguished gentleman's bike, and then I've got a little Honda 400 with a sidecar on it.
Oh, that's cute.
You got the head of mustache with the sidecar, right?
Yeah.
And the sidecar is just it's just so much fun, Janelle. I put my neighbors in, and we go around the corner. And I said, "How adventuresome are you?" And they go, "Huh?" Because they can't hear me. They got their helmets on. I just pop that thing out there from the ears, and they're screaming and flying the car around. Sidecars are really a lot of fun. They're the illusion that 3 wheels are safer than 2 wheels can be broken really quickly. On a motorcycle, when we have a problem, is in a fairly predictable fashion. We overuse the front brake sometimes, or we use it at the wrong time, and we come out and we slide along after it, or we use too much rear power, eyesight. But on a 3-wheel vehicle, something happens because you have 3 axes. It's pretty catastrophic. And so
you can't lift it up. It's harder to lift up.
What's that?
If you tip over, it's harder to lift up.
Well, if you tip over on a 3-wheel, it's going to land on top of you, and that's going to be 1,500 pounds or better. And one of the fallacies is that 3-wheel riders don't need the same protection that a 2-wheel rider does because there's less of a balance issue. Which is true. There's less of a balance issue, but you still have to. You still got to be prepared for any inevitability. And so the 3-wheel world and the 2-wheel world will coincide, but the sidecar in the 3-wheel world is completely crazy. Because if you come around the corner of the sidecar and you're in a 3-wheel, you have to do direct steering because there's no lean, right? You got to lean your body. It's a whole other subject about physics. But it's direct steering, and that sidecar comes up in the air. Now you have to go back to counter steering, and that's when that causes a big challenge.
Very interesting. Well, I'm not going to pop in any sidecars anytime soon.
Yeah, I'll give you a ride someday.
Well, now that you told me, but yes, but you're so good at riding. So you've done like every kind of riding. I mean, just street riding, touring. Do you have a favorite kind, or like what are the different skill sets you feel like you have to apply?
Oh, goodness gracious. Street riding is probably the most dangerous. If From riding from my house in Des Moines over to here, coming down here today, I encountered neighborhood traffic. That includes animals and kids and pets. And then secondary roads, 35, 45 miles an hour secondary roads and 7-Eleven entrances and entrances to the roadway from apartment buildings and houses. And then I had some, primary freeways. So now my speeds are 60, 70 miles an hour down the freeway and multiple lanes. And then through an industrial area where there's big trucks and deliveries going on, people going to IKEA and not paying attention. So I think that street riding portion is probably the most hazardous, most dangerous to a rider. The racetrack, on the other hand, is probably the safest spot for a rider because it's a completely controlled environment, and that's a lot of fun. That's the area where you want to go out and really push the limits on the corners and stuff. Really find what the limits are on your motorcycle. That's where we go. We go to the racetrack because everything's going the same way. The road's clean. There's not a Ford F-350 that's going to run you over.
Predictable.
Right. And then my touring, I've done a lot of long distance touring. I'll ride down. I have a condo in Cabo San Lucas. I'll ride down to Cabo San Lucas from here.
It's so amazing. How many days does that take?
I don't know. Once I'm out touring, it's time is just kind of immaterial. And I think touring is probably one of my favorite things. One of my favorite trips is my son was in the service and he was at a Air Force base in Biloxi, Mississippi, and he was in the Marines. And I rode over to Fargo and found the headwaters of the Mississippi and followed the Mississippi River all the way down to the Gulf. And what I did virtually is I rode on the west side of the Mississippi River, on the road closest to the river, until I came to a bridge, and I crossed the bridge and ride the east side. And then I crossed the bridge, and I did that all the way down to Mississippi. And I love that. I stopped at this place one time, low slung building, white clapboard, and it had some windows, but it had posters and stuff on it. I think there was a gas pump outside, and I've been riding for hours, and not really paying attention where I'm at. And I opened the door, and the aroma of fried chicken and wood polish and tobacco and perspiration. It was just heady, and it just hit me like the dinner bell at grandma's house. Man, I was suddenly salivating. And I asked the woman, I said, where am I? And she said, boy, you don't know where you're at? I go, no, ma'am, I do not. She goes, come here. And she walked me about half block down the street, took me up in this little lot, and showed me the monument to Casey Jones, the engineer, out in Kentucky. And it was, but
thanks to the chicken.
Yeah, it was great chicken. But I love when you're touring that way because the people you get to interact with. I was riding along through the Dakotas one time, and there's sunflowers, and the sunflowers are like miles and miles and miles and miles of sunflowers, right? And I saw this old gentleman on the side of the road, an old pickup truck, and I pulled over on my bike, and I stopped and stretched and walked over and said, how you doing? And had a conversation. And his retirement farm was like, he retired, wasn't doing much. His gentleman farm had like 10,000 acres of sunflowers, and we had a wonderful conversation, and it's the people you meet along the way and the cultures you see, and it's people are drawn to you when you're out, especially by yourself or maybe one other person. People are drawn to you because it's so romantic. That's why we get into motorcycle riding, right? Because it's romantic, right? It's the romance, and don't we all want just a little romance, a
In our
little love,
hearts. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's romantic, and see people see it and they go, "Where are you from? How do you get here?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Where are
Where
you
are you
staying?"
going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that stuff, and I love that with the added advantage of a dual sport bike, big dual sport bike like mine. Um, I can bop down and then turn left and head up on top of the Escalante.
Yeah. So
Down
that's
in Utah, the Escalante basically is where the continents divide, and you can't see a man-made light anywhere, and water goes this way on this side and that way on the other side, and you can get to some amazing places if you're willing to take your bike off road.
It's amazing.
And so if I had to say my favorite thing about riding is the second day out on a multi-day trip.
Second day.
The first day you're always nervous about what I forget, I gotta go, and all that stuff. You got all that stuff going on. The second day you wake up and you go, I ain't got it.
Yeah.
And
you're still surviving without it.
And I like to get up and have a fire and a cup of coffee and look around and go, oh, the weather looks really nice over there. It looks kind of crappy over there. Let's go this way for a while. Right? I love having the freedom to do that. And you come to a road and literally this one's less traveled, and you go that way. And then at the end after you get lost, you open the map, you go ask somebody, where am I? And they take you down and show you Casey Jones Monument and feed you some chicken, right? And then you figure out where you're at, and then you go some more. I think the combination of touring and dual sporting is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, you really are just complete freedom.
Yeah.
Wake up wherever you want.
When I'm out riding like that, I'm completely self-sustained. I've discovered some real game changers in life. When I'm camping, a cot to get my old man body off of the cold ground helps a lot. And then I got about a 4-inch air mattress that blows up also, so I can sit on my cot, my legs cross-legged, sitting up, drinking my coffee I make from my jet boil, my air roll press right there in my tent before I do anything in the morning. And having the right equipment goes a long way.
Yeah, you're comfortable in all your freedom.
You should be.
All of it. Yeah. That's really amazing. Well, I hope to get there one day. But,
you will. You got many, many years to catch up to me.
It's true. I hope so.
And the thing about it is, don't be in a hurry to get too far, but understand that through education, you reduce fear. Through education, when we first started at your house, talking about the motorcycle, how does this thing actually work?
Yeah.
Not how do you think it works, not how the YouTube videos are telling you about. Think about when the engineers put it together, how did they design this to work? And if you get some knowledge about some of that stuff, the rest of it is less frightening. You just understand how it works.
Yeah, it's empowerment.
Yeah, empowerment. I love that. And that's what you do too with your clients, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing that you talk about it, because that's what I tell my clients. I'm like, my goal is to empower you by the end of this. This thing has happened to you that you didn't ask for. You feel like you've lost your power. Yes. You've lost your mobility. You've lost so much time, energy. So my goal is at the end of the day is to empower you at the end of this process. And so it's just amazing you said that, because that's literally all I try to do.
In the union, we used to say make whole. We like to make them whole. If someone's had an issue and they come to you for help, you want to make it as if nothing's happened before. Make them whole. For me, when you have an issue, I want to come and figure out why that happened. Right? And from my perspective, the making whole of the motorcycle rider has to start with a why. As their attorney, you have to start with the what, right? Let's fix the what happened. As an instructor, I had to fix the why it happened. Right? On the same side of the coin.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And knowing those things, fixing those things for these people will empower them to have better, healthier, stronger, happier, more productive lives on a motorcycle, or being able to put that, God forbid, a nice monument up for a loved one.
Yeah, yeah. And being able to move forward with more knowledge, I think overall, I think that's the empowerment part, and understanding, and yeah, that's my goal. So, well,
Our goals are a lot alike, and our habits are a lot alike too. We know that as a motorcyclist, when I get nervous, I go to my brakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as one of your folks, they get nervous, they're going to brake. They're going to start going their brakes too, right?
Yeah.
When we get nervous, we start going to our brakes to slow down what's happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's not.
Oh, how fast do you go to your brakes, I guess.
Exactly. Thank you very much. How fast do you go to your brakes? So you get that little 3 to 5% first,
Yeah.
right? And then once you got that understanding going on between you and your client, or you're tired of the rubber on the road, once you get that little understanding going on, then you can exercise that and really help them understand and really utilize that brake.
Yeah, and really go the full.
Did you ever imagine that law and motorcycle riding were so similar?
Not till I started writing.
Yes.
No, writing, it really teaches you a lot. I think about yourself, for me. And, just learning I think it's like a native or like carnal reaction to things. You really start to be like, okay, this is how I react. This is how I'm going to learn to react better. Or, this is how I'm going to prepare, and all of those things. You really learn a lot about yourself.
It really breaks down to like cognitive behavioral therapy, right? How I feel dictates what I do and dictates what I get, and if we can change that fear, take that fear away, right? Through some education and some support, some empowerment. If we can take that fear away, then people can have healthier lives.
I think so, yeah. And then the people around them will be healthier because you're not going to have to deal with this much crap.
Ultimately, I go places and people go, "Hi guys, I'm feeling great today. If I wasn't, I'd stay my ass home."
I agree.
Yeah. Because we all have down days. Lord knows I've had my share.
Yeah.
And on those down days, I still try to honor myself and empower myself. As a motorcycle rider, you have to honor your feelings and your emotions, whether you're not feeling good for the bike, or you're upset, or you have some challenges coming up, or some bad stuff. You have to be in touch with those things. Or else you're going to get yourself in a situation where you're compromising your safety.
Yeah. Don't ride on a bad day.
Don't ride on a bad day. People think that I'm gonna use it for stress relief. Well, it is stress reliever, but you can't use it as that tool.
Yeah.
You can meditation, getting in your mind. Valentino Rossi has this thing where he's racer, he kneels down to his bike and thinks about what he's doing. And what you got to think about is the here and now. Where am I at? What am I doing? And when you're future tripping, that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to be still probably before you get on your bike.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, that little bit, get my mind in the right spot. Before I came down here today, I assessed what I needed, assessed what I wanted to take with me, and I got it all on my bike, got it all set up, and I washed my bike down a little bit today because it's a sunny day and I had an extra little bit of time. I spent about 10 minutes kind of wiping my bike down a little bit. Got my gear on, got my mind right. I think about my folks in my house. Kind of pre-planned the beginning of my route where I was going to go. And then as I got on my bike and I pulled out of my driveway, there's an instant shift. There's an instant shift from being around my home to being in the here and now. Now I've got that bubble of protection around me, that my safety cushion that I keep between me and other vehicles, other hard spots, right? And that's where my focus is, right there, 12 seconds ahead, 12, 15 seconds ahead. Right. And then when I got down here, then got through my ride down here, and life was good. I relaxed a little bit, took some stuff off, cleaned up, got my hat on, my bags, so don't burn my head.
Yeah.
And it's that predetermined and a thought process that we have to utilize. That what am I going to be doing? Where's my mental status?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my mental status? I teach and have taught frequently over in Silverdale, and it's like 75 miles from my house. And if I teach a 2-day class in Silverdale, I leave my house each morning about 6 a.m.
Mm.
And as an instructor, our days are pretty long. I'm there an hour before the class gets there. And generally, I'm there a half hour or so after the class goes home, wrapping things up, and then another hour home. And the first day, I always ride my motorcycle because I believe that our students need to see us involved on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But on the second day, I bring my vehicle because I have to be honest with myself. I'm going to get tired. As a younger man, I didn't get as tired. As an older man, I'm getting tireder.
Yeah.
And you just had to be honest with yourself on a motorcycle. To thy own self be true thing is very important.
Yeah, it's very true. Well, I think we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
But is there like anything that you want to share that we haven't covered? Anything specific or any words of wisdom, departing words of wisdom? You've shared so many.
What I will tell you is, as a motorcyclist, you have to understand that everything happens in your head first. Mm-hmm. Without my head involved, nothing's good. You can't drive another bike with your eyes closed. So your eyes are going to take all this stuff in. And your mind's going to process that, and so clear your mind, get your mind focused on the task at hand. Keep your head and eyes up. Look further ahead. And come get some training. Get some training. Come, I'm at WMST, and most times, and we would love to have you. I would love to work with you. Anything we can do to help you be successful is where I want to be.
Well, I appreciate that. You've already helped so much. You have no idea. So just the one lesson. That's great.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. This was I had no idea what to expect. Nice conversation. It's always fun.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Appreciate you doing it on camera. And to Jet City. We just still shout out to Jet City for letting us film here today. We appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Absolutely. Awesome. All right. Probably do a thumbs up when we're done because that's how they know.
All right.
So.